What's up, everybody? This is BakaBites. I'm Frankfurter. That is Magically Average. And today, let's talk about what the heck is going on at Crunchyroll HQ. Over the weekend, it kind of broke, or I guess Friday, really, that David Wald, good voice actor. He's been voices of so many different characters, but
Tons.
he's in Vinland Saga, Attack on Titan, Danmachi, My Hero, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like he's very prolific, and he's dipping his toes into directing too. Came out over the weekend or on Friday to say that people have sent him fan mail in the past 5 or so years, and he never got any of it. And it seems that some of his fan mail was opened and set along a table in Crunchyroll HQ, in which it was just kind of splayed out for, anybody can take it if they want it.
Yep.
And this is a lot to break down for multiple reasons. First and foremost, the legality of it. Where are we at with that?
Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Lawyer Man.
Non-attorney person. Talk to us
Mr.
about.
Lawyer Man, tell us about any of the legalities here.
Well, where's the jurisdiction that Crunchyroll resides in?
If I had to guess, since he's talking about the last 5 years, I would say
Assuming-
maybe Grapevine, Texas.
Yeah, I was gonna say Texas.
Otherwise it's San Francisco.
It doesn't matter. It's the U.S. postal system, so it's federal. But yeah, mail tampering, anything to do with the items sent through the USPS, the United States Postal Service. If you open it and it's not yours, or you tamper with it, or you disseminate it, meaning that you open it up and you send its contents elsewhere, whatever the case might be, big bad no. Big old don't do that. Otherwise, Uncle Sam is going to have some words with you, because he really, really likes keeping his precious postal service intact and, having it be an upright entity of the government, we'll say. No, it's just bad all around. Like, don't open up people's mail.
Yeah. So, looking at the photo that he sent, somebody sent him an actual photo of what was included in one of these boxes, because he's alluding to that it wasn't just one box; it was multiple letters, envelopes,
Over years.
et cetera, over years.
Years and years.
And one of them is just like a bunch of fan art, some stickers, maybe like a couple bookmarks, etc. Like, it's nothing I would say. And I'm putting this with an asterisk because everything is important to the beholder and to the people who create it. But it's nothing like incredibly important where it's like a legal document or something that's signed, or it's like, hey, thank you so much for, like, it's not like
No.
necessarily a fan letter that's being put out on a table. It's mostly art and stickers, which,
Well,
it is important to the person who creates it and them trying to get it to the creator, or their the person they're a fan of.
minor correction.
Okay.
And again, we are going based off of the word of David Wald. We're not, there's no evidence right now. Crunchyroll is, as of this weekend, they made a statement saying that they're investigating. So we don't have any knowledge as to what actually was happening, other than the image of the contents of one of his packages splayed out on a table for any Crunchyroll employee to take, right?
Right.
But based on the accusation from David Wald, he did say that effectively he never got any of his fan mail.
Yeah.
And he surmised that the contents, if they were letters or like some small inserts that didn't really have any inherent value, like, a toy or a keychain or something would have, they were just tossed. Because he made a very strong statement, because someone, I think the person that actually had broke this to him, or at least like uncovered what was happening for him, the person that sent over the big package with a bunch of like fan art and stuff like that for one of his characters, he had mentioned like, I see the contents and everything, but the thing I care most about are the letters. Like, the thing I value the most are your letters and, written notes to me thanking me for roles, or sharing your life, experience with a character that you enjoyed that I voiced, like things like that. And again, legality wise, it's not like they're sharing their social security number. They're not, sending over bank information, things like that. So it's not like the contents of the letters are incriminating, but
Right.
they hold sentimental value to both the author and the receiver of the letter, right?
Yes, and what I was more so getting at, I think, is that luckily these letters weren't being put out for the giveaway table and just anybody can come up and just take
No,
something that personal. Like it wasn't things like that that were being put on the
yeah.
table for display for anybody and everybody in the office to see.
I mean, I hope to God no one's sending like a photocopy of their birth certificate or like,
A
all
photocopy of
of
their butt
the
cheeks
yeah,
and
like
sitting on the printer just like,
I mean,
"Nee."
honestly, those I would have on the table. Just be like, here is a pair of cheeks if anyone wants them. Wink,
Yeah.
wink. It's just the
Yeah.
creepy guy that works at the office. I don't know who this is from.
Oh,
The
whose butt is this?
the the issue though still is like, and again, I think it's even more abhorrent of Crunchyroll given the whole privacy issue, like the privacy lawsuit they just went through, where if you got a payout for AMC or whatever,
Yeah.
you can thank Crunchyroll and their dog shittery for sharing all of your private information to advertisers and stuff. So thanks a lot. But it's on the tails of that too, right? So there's already this huge concern over Crunchyroll securing everyone's like private information and issues surrounding privacy on their platform, and for them to be openly, again, still in the early stages, still don't know all the evidence, but from what we've been able to uncover so far from David and a lot of his fans, employees just opening up letters where it has people's addresses, it has people's full names, it has people's personal information at times. Again, it's not something where you're going to be able to go out and like start using that person's credit card or like open up a loan under their name, but it's enough to where you wouldn't want that information just in anyone's hands.
Yeah.
So the fact that one, you don't know how they're disposing of it. I mean, if it's going in the garbage, fine.
Great.
You'd rather it be shredded, right?
Yeah.
If they're just tossing it into like a drawer or whatever, like this is our drawer of misfit letters and it's just being stuck there, like that's a big concern. We don't know any of it. And so it's alarming from that standpoint too. Again, the I don't want to talk too much on the legal side of it because
Right,
it
because it
is
is pretty clear cut.
it's clear cut, but again, we don't have enough to really definitively say yes, there was mail tampering or they've violated any of the federal laws surrounding the mail service and things like that. And we don't want to also imply that they're actually sharing private information by any means. But what I will say though is that the fact that you have personalized letters, the fact that you have goods that are being shared to specific voice actors that work at your company, and you have the directive, assuming, again, this is coming from managers or someone higher up, to say, hey, anything coming in, we don't have any way of getting in contact with the voice actor, or we don't even allow for this to happen. Open it and get rid of it. Is
Yeah.
just that's super concerning. Like that's just bad management.
Yeah, I would agree. At the top of the show, though, I said that like there's baffling things all around. That one being the first and foremost of just like the legality of it and
Yeah.
it being a pretty basic rule for anybody who lives in the United States. Like you can't fuck with somebody else's mail.
Yeah, it's pretty
Like it's
easy to
just straight
follow.
up illegal.
It's
Pretty easy
pretty
to follow. But the other baffling thing, and you kind of touched upon it at the end there, is that how much fan mail is actually being sent to Crunchyroll and why?
no
Like
idea.
this is one of those things that I am curious as to like Crunchyroll headquarters in San Francisco and Grapevine, Texas. I wonder how much they are actually getting for individual voice actors because if he's getting multiple packages, like what are other people getting that we don't
Yeah.
know about? And how is that being handled? Like, into also the perspective of the sender, it's like, why are you sending it to a corporation where they temporarily hire voice actors? Like, they are contract workers, they do not work in the offices. They may come into the office to record, but after the pandemic, I feel like that doesn't happen all too often. I feel like some of that just happens at their house. They have
Yeah.
a home studio. Like,
So I okay. It's
yes.
there's a lot to unpack. I'm gonna let you
Yeah.
finish, but there's I'm trying to like keep my thoughts in
Right.
order because
Well,
otherwise I'm
it's one
gonna
of those things of just
barf.
like it's like what person, like what age demographic I'm wondering is sending this A, and B, why are they not reaching out to the creator themselves to see if they have a PO box for fan mail? Because I feel like a lot of creators in this day and age, YouTubers, TikTokers, Instagram influencers, et cetera, they'll either have a note on their profile or their bio or their link tree, whatever, what have you,
You can
of
say
saying,
LinkedIn.
"Hey," I was about to say LinkedIn, but I saved myself there. Like, "Hey, if you have fan mail or if you wanna send me something, send it to this PO box." Like, there's so many creators that I can think of off the top of my head, one of them being Jessica Nigri, and then the other, like, Offline TV, etcetera. They used to do a bunch of, like, videos of opening fan mail because it just like, "Hey, here's my PO box, send me something," or send, if you feel inclined to send me something, send it here.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that was such a big trend, not even like within the last 5 years. Like, why would you not think of sending it to a PO box first or seeing if they had one, and then why sending it to a corporation after?
Okay. I so there's a lot to cover there. I'm going
Yes.
to start with your first with my first point was something that you said, and immediately I was like, this is the reason why. You said in today's age, like in the modern day, and I'm like, haha, there you go, there's your answer. I think a lot of this is like 10 years ago. I
But
think a
even
lot
then,
no,
people were doing a shit ton of
no, 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 no,
unboxing
no.
with PO address
Right.
PO box.
But understand this. Who were the ones doing it? YouTube celebrities, big streamers. Like you're talking people that routinely are in front of a screen with other people. You're not talking about someone that lies behind a character that really is just their voice, right? I
Yeah.
I don't want to and this is not a knock on voice acting, right? Cuz you and I think I can say safely for the both of us, we adore voice actors. I mean, we look up to a
Yeah.
lot of them because for our childhoods, that was like most of the shows we watched. Not even just speaking strictly anime, it was like cartoons and everything too. Like now growing up and knowing the voice actors behind them and like who they are and what else they voiced and just following their stories, it's like something to look up to, especially if you're aspiring to be a voice actor trying to get into the industry. But like when I was growing up, it's not like I went, "Oh, look, it's Tom Kenny." I'm like, "Oh, look, it's SpongeBob." Right?
Yeah.
I didn't go, "Oh, look, it's I'm all of the different voice actors now. I've just tried to
Just
John
completely blanking.
DiMaggio, like John DiMaggio. Like no, that's Bender, right? Like
Yeah.
as I got older, I started to appreciate the voice actors more, but like you don't normally attribute a likeness to the voice actor themselves because there's certain characters that I despise, but I love the voice actor. And there's certain voice actors that I despise, but I love their characters, right?
That's fair.
So it's
Yeah.
like most of the time, it's a lot of the love is for the character and less so like the voice actor. So I think the whole notion of people sending fan mail and like reaching out and everything like that was kind of, and I don't want to sound presumptuous, I guess, but it was kind of like a foreign thing a while ago. Anime picked up again, manga picked up again during COVID. We started seeing more and more voice actors, so like what you said, going like and doing voice acting from home. You saw more of them on social media, doing things on like streaming and stuff too. So there was like a bigger presence of them, not as their characters, but as them. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh, like you started to kind of like develop connections with them and be like, oh my god, I love this character. I love the story behind it. I loved like listening to how they grew into the character or how they even got the role. Like this is great to know. Like this is fun. So the line between character and voice actor became less clear and more blurred. And you're like, you could start being like, I love them both for the same reason, right?
Yeah, and I think another, just real quick to interject,
Yeah.
like another thing that I just thought about is like voice acting is such a weird middle ground of celebrity because again, you're like you were saying, YouTubers, Twitch streamers, et cetera, like they're in front of a camera all day long. They have a PO box. They don't necessarily, you can send it there. But
Yeah.
then on the other end of the spectrum, where it is a professional setting, not to call streamers, TikTokers, et cetera, non-professional, but like movie stars, bands, et cetera, like that side of the industry where people are still on camera, where people are performing live in front of crowds, like they still got fan mail. I'm thinking about like how in the hell did somebody get like fan mail in the 70s? How did they get it in the 80s? And I'm like, well, they'd go through management and they'd go through the label. And I guess like at the end of the day, like they are signed, they are employees there. They probably did have a dedicated bucket. But Crunchyroll is such a weird thing. Like voice
Yeah.
acting in general is such a weird thing because it is all contract work. You are not a part of the company. You are just a contract worker. So it's like,
Yeah.
how would you get it to somebody who voiced a character in your favorite anime, in your favorite, not even anime, just like even Western animation, like Avatar, The Last Airbender, Rocket Power, Rugrats,
Yeah.
whatever, or the video game, etc. So it's just like, yeah, it is kind of weird to think about it and be like, how did people in the past get it there? And I think that's I don't know. That's an answer that I wish I had, and
Yeah.
I
Well,
straight up don't.
and again, like the reason why I brought up like YouTubers and Twitch streamers is because their main audience is their viewers, right? Their main audience are
Right.
the people on the other side of the screen that are watching their content, whether it's live or pre-recorded. Like movie actors and TV actors and artists, musicians, they're kind of one and the same, but they're, I guess, to the extent like for movies and TV shows, they're based off of like viewers and stuff, and then like musicians based off of, listens and ticket sales on live shows. Voice actors are weird because they're kind of a blend of the two in that like they're behind the visage of a character that they have to like become. They are not
Yeah.
themselves, they are the character that they're voicing. And so the love and appreciation, again, I feel like back in the day was more towards like the character and less so the voice actor. But once we started, I think because of the boom during COVID and everyone starting to watch, more anime again and anime becoming popular, manga sales growing and domestically as well, like the love for the character, like the people behind the characters started to grow more and more again because they had a bigger presence online. I've seen so many more like TikTok channels and Twitter feeds of voice actors. Um, but I mean, I think the problem is always the same though. It's like unless you are a voice actor and you have your own PO box, like yeah, what do you do? Like, do you send it to Crunchyroll? Do you send it to High Dive? Do you send it to like I guess if you can somehow uncover their management company, the management or agency company, like how do you get to them if they don't have one? So
Yeah.
I can't fault the people for sending it to Crunchyroll. The only way I could fault them, I guess, is if they addressed it to Crunchyroll and like didn't write
Yeah.
down the voice actor's name. But I feel like
That would be a huge concern.
they people would be smart enough to go, It's for this person. Please give it to them, Crunchyroll, or something like that."
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to bring up before the thought passes, and it's slowly passing as I'm talking, so I'm trying to figure out
Oh boy.
what it was. It's really bad. I had it, and it's gone.
Just watched in real time, your just fucking
Yeah.
thought just die.
I
Just
well, so it had to do with like conventions and meeting voice actors because I think the thought came around conventions and thinking of the one that we're going to and the one we're going to be panels at YumaCon, which is coming up in Detroit.
Yep.
Um, it's is funny to think like 90% of the people, like the celebrities, the guests that are there, are voice actors. And like there's like a couple of TV actors. Sometimes you get like the random celebrity there that's like it was in like wrestling or is a musician as well or something outside of I guess the anime or animation industry. And you're like that's
Yeah.
cool, but 90% of the time it's voice actors, and I'm like, is that the real reason why cons are just mainly voice actors? Is it because like they have no other medium to really get in front of people or to like to be a part of the audience? Because like I'm thinking about other instances of like for Twitch streamers and things like that and YouTubers, and it's like they don't really have to do that, right? Like their interactions are through like comments or with like different content they make and stuff, right? Like they
Or like
don't.
in real time,
Yeah,
yeah.
if you're a Twitch streamer, you talk to chat. What's up, chat? How's it going, chat? Thanks for the bits, chat. Thanks for the dono, chat. Like you're constantly engaging with your audience, and so there's like less of this feel from if you're like I don't know a big fan of a streamer. There's less of this feel of like the notion of like I don't feel like I'll ever be able to interact with them. Like some people, like if you're watching like I don't know Tim the Tatman or something, right? If you just
Yeah.
like message hey constantly, hoping that he's gonna say hi back to you, probably not
He's
gonna
not.
get it. If you don't owe money or something, maybe you'll get a reaction, right? That's
Yeah.
like kind of the incentive, right? But I follow a lot of small streamers and I talk in their chat and it's fun just like being able to talk back with them and they're pretty prolific in the different games that they play and stuff. So like that's it's a cool feeling. But again, now correlating that over to voice actors, it's like they don't have anything like that. I guess AMAs, the closest thing you can get. But the best way is
Yeah.
cons. Like the best way to get out in front of people is conventions. It's like it's the perfect world of marrying all of the hobbies and interests that people enjoy, like anime and animation and video games and stuff like that, with having those exact people there to be like, "Hello, I am the character that you're cosplaying as." Isn't that neat?
Yeah, the only other thing that I can think of that they would even have a chance at interacting would be like, and this only happens very seldomly, is like a movie premiere or something in which they show up to a movie and there's like they're in front of the crowd to watch the premiere and then they
Yeah,
have like an ask me anything because that has happened in the past and it has happened out here a couple times where I live, where been to a movie and they have like a follow up, Q&A with the director or a voice actor, etc. with the film. So it's just one of those things that yeah, you might be right in the sense that like cons probably are the only place where they can really have that fan interaction unless they do something on the side like a stream or
yeah,
YouTube videos, etc. So
and
yeah, it's kind of sad, but at the same time it's like I guess I get it.
yeah. I mean, like, I'll give a perfect example of experience that I had, like like that kind of fits this entire thing. I was at a convention in Michigan a couple years back, and unfortunately, like it was pretty slow the day I went. But there was like a ton of amazing voice actors there, and their lines were like fairly small, right?
Yeah.
And I'm looking around, and I'm like, I think off in the corner that's Charles Martinet, and his line was empty, like no one around for miles, right? And I'm like, do people just not know who he is, or is it that people don't really care? Because if you don't know who Charles Martinet is, he was the former voice of Mario. Ever since the beginning, he voiced Mario, he voiced Luigi, Baby Mario, Baby Luigi. He voiced a ton of the Mario universe characters, and no one was in his line. And I walked up and got in line and I just started talking with him and probably had like a 10-minute conversation with him, and no one still showed up. And lovely person, was a joy to talk to. I got to learn a lot about how he like even ventured into video game voice acting. Found out that Mario wasn't actually his first ever video game voice he did. He voiced for like an old arcade game, I guess, originally, which I was like, that's cool.
Hmm.
But like he was an awesome person, wonderful human being. And when I walked away with my signed picture, I was like, this is sweet. But then I had that hit of realization of like, oh my God, no one cares because they only care about the character. They don't
Which to
care
be
about
fair, like
him.
Mario is a huge character.
He is. He's a huge character. And it's like, but I'm like, that was the only thing I could come to the conclusion at, was that if you're a fan of the Mario series, you don't give a crap about who the voice actor is. Like, I remember when they announced like, oh, Charles Martinet is stepping away. We have a new, Mario voice actor. And
Yeah.
my first thought was, please, for the love of God, don't let it be Chris what's his nuts.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah. I was like, if Chris Pratt is,
Wahoo!
I will throw a temper tantrum outside of Nintendo
Uh,
headquarters in North America. I will call up Reggie Fils-Aimé and be like, "Hey, you got to fix this
You
now.
you
I
need to
know
get
you're.
you need to get rid of Doug Bowser. Get
I
back in
know.
there.
Yeah, you better pull all your purple Pikmins together and get down there to fix this."
No, you gotta pull all your rock Pikmins and throw them through the glass windows.
Yeah, that too. And go. Don't
But
stop playing Animal Crossing New Leaf on your Nintendo 3DS, and go fix this. Just saying all the Reggie Fils-Aimé memes. By the way, I love him. If I ever have a chance to meet him, I would drop everything to do it because he's such a
yeah,
cool human being.
Reggie's great, and then you always have to make the Mother 3 joke of when is it gonna be ported, but
Yep.
you know,
Yeah, exactly.
reach there or localized, not ported,
Yeah,
localized.
yeah.
But
But yeah, like when they announced that, I was like, oh, well, first off, I was like, what a great career as the Mario voice actor. I'm sure. I mean, he's gonna stick around. I think he's like an ambassador for Nintendo. Charles Martinet is.
oh yeah,
Um, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna be such a change, such a shift. I felt like it got some response within like the first day, and then no one gave a hoot. And
yeah. I think
I'm like, oh my god,
it's the
that's
news cycle. It happens for a bit, and then it
but
just
that
goes away.
but that was in my mind that's big. I'm like, for someone who's been
Yeah,
playing Mario for almost the beginning, right? I didn't have a NES or a SNES or anything, but like I grew up with Nintendo 64. I had all the handheld games, game consoles and stuff. Like I played a crap ton of Mario games. I love Mario. Mario was a big piece of my childhood, and I'm like, oh my god, that iconic
hmm
voice, like the voice that I know is like is gonna change. Like it's not gonna
yeah.
be the same.
But
And it was
I
just
think
it felt like everyone was like, is Mario still Mario? Yeah. Is he Italian?
does he still
Yes.
jump on Goomba's heads?
Yeah. Does he have a big mustache and go wahoo? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, all right, well then who gives a fuck? And I'm like, what? So
Bitch.
yeah. I mean,
But
it happened, but it happens in anime too, right? Like characters get voice actor changes for sometimes bad reasons, sometimes
sometimes they're
understandable
necessary.
reasons. Yeah, like it feels like most of the time people are like, is that character the same? Cool. I don't care.
Yeah, but back to the full circle, back to the original topic
Yeah,
of
yeah.
David Wald and his fan mail being opened or tampered with, or hopefully not addressed to him, in which it was just addressed to Crunchyroll and they just opened it up. Um,
Um,
I think that it is in the future, like people need to kind of see this as a wide eye experience of just being like, hey, these things don't make it to contractors. They will make it to employees, but not contractors. And maybe you should reach out to those voice actors because I feel like of all the professions, whether it be a big streamer, whether it be a movie star, musician, etc., voice actors are more inclined to reply to you on social media if it is
oh
a
yeah.
genuine question. Like they will gladly answer your question and reply to you compared to anybody else in any sort of industry that revolves around fame.
Do you want to know?
So what?
Can I tell a story real quick to that point?
Oh God.
So
Sure.
I'm a huge fan of Archer. Okay. And if you haven't watched the
Oh
show,
boy.
please go watch it. It's great. But I was watching the new season at the time that it was coming out. I think it was like season 6. And it was when I was in college. And I saw a tweet from Amber Amber Pates, I think. She's the voice actor of Pam. And then
Okay.
Lucky
I'll look it up.
Yates. Yeah, I think it's Amber. Gosh, I can't remember her last name. And then Lucky Yates, who's the voice actor of Krieger.
Amber Nash.
Amber Nash. Thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
one of them put out a tweet like, "Hey, we're gonna be watching the new season and doing like a live chat," and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." I'd watched the first episode. I loved it. I made a funny tweet and just tagged them, thinking like they're not gonna see this. Both of them responded, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"This is the greatest day of my life." I was recognized by
A
Pam,
voice actor.
Pam, the Pam,
Yeah.
and the Creek.
The
I was
Pam.
like, I had like such a fanboy moment. I was like, this is so funny. And then like next episode came out, I did the same thing. They responded again. And it was just like, and then I think after that, I kind of came to the realization. And as I started to go to more cons and like talk to different voice actors and actors and celebrities and stuff, I came to the realization like, you know what? First off, they're normal human beings. They're people just like
Yeah.
you and I. But second off, most of them really love the interaction, right? Because again,
Oh yeah.
this is the same instance again, full circle to what we've been talking about. Like Pam and Krieger are just characters. They're animated people on a cartoon show for adults,
Yep.
right? Not many people know the voices behind them. And so I think like having that recognition and just being like having a fan reach out and like recognize them and be like, "Oh my god, I love you as this character." Or, "Oh my god, like you do such a good job portraying this character." Like it's fantastic. They're like, "Wow, you've broken through the veil and now I can become me again. I'm not just Pam. I am Amber Nash or Lucky Yates." I think that's like
Yeah.
a level of appreciation that they have for the fans. And again, I know talking to other voice actors at cons too, it's the same thing. It's like, I love you as this character, but I also just love you as an actor. Like, you are fantastic. Like, everything that you've, like, all your story and your background and everything like that, it's superb. I think that's a level of appreciation that they enjoy with fans. And so, like, with the fan mail stuff too, it's like you want to have that with your
Yeah.
fans. Like, you want to have that interaction with your fans. And as a voice actor, it's like, again, you don't really get that direct interaction outside of maybe like responding to comments on videos or posts online or whatnot, or talking with fans at cons. So yeah, I think this is
Yeah.
maybe like a learning moment for voice actors to go, maybe I should set up that PO box, or maybe I
Yeah.
should reach out and
Or
let people know, hey, where to send me stuff if you're ever going to send me fan mail.
yeah, like ask my manager, like, "Hey, can I have it sent to your office?" or
Yeah,
something like that. So yeah, no,
exactly.
I think that's the moral of the story, minus the fact that just taking out all the legalities that Crunchyroll just fucked up here.
Yeah,
Um,
on top of
I
their
think that
other legal
yeah,
problems.
on top of all the legal problems that they have, I think that
Yeah.
the biggest learning moment is for, hey, if you are a fan and the person you want to send fan art to or your fan letter to doesn't have an address or doesn't have a PO box, doesn't have something that obviously says where to send it, ask them.
Yeah.
Ask them, and you might be pleasantly surprised that they tell you what or where to send it. Or, if they're going to a con, just bring it there.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Or
or just go to Reddit and see if somebody else knows.
worst
'Cause-
case, they tell you to go pound sand and kick rocks.
yeah,
In
that
which
too.
case, you mail them a bag of poop.
Which, speaking of pounding sand and kicking rocks, we appreciate you guys for sticking around this long. It's a bit of a shorter episode today. It's
Time out.
a bit of a
Hang on. I want you,
oh.
for the sake of all of the listeners and watchers, to extrapolate how that segue tied into your ending statement.
I was gonna say we weren't gonna tell you to kick sand and pound rocks, so thank you for joining us.
Oh my god. You can't just use that same setup every time.
But I can.
You could say, and like the
Um,
sands of time, this episode has ended. Thank you so much for joining. You see how I thought of that in an
you know
instant?
what? You go ahead then. You take it away, Mr. Sands of Time, Mr. Eloquent, Mr. I'm good with words. I'm Mr. Lawyer Boy.
You done? You done whining?
You dipshit.
Okay. Where can people
Am I
find
am
us?
I are you doing the outro or
Where
am
can
I?
people find us?
People can find us on Twitch, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube. We are at Baka&Co Podcast. We are posting short videos when we can on all social platforms or most social platforms. And then we will also, as said earlier in this episode, we will be at Umicon this week. So if you are in the Detroit area, please come stop on by, whether it be Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. We will be having a panel of some sort those days. Just reach out to us or check our Twitter, and we will be posting our schedule there because I realize now that I looked at Umicon's site and they don't have a schedule. They just have every single panel listed out. They don't have
Yeah.
times or anything. It's really fucking weird.
Oh,
So
I mean,
we will be
yeah. Yeah.
so check our Twitter as to what hall, what time, etc., what panel we'll be presenting at this weekend. But we will be there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So if you see us, stop by, say hi. We may have a little goodies for you, so it never hurts. But yes, again, Umicon, Detroit, this weekend. We'll be there. So we'll see you there, hopefully. Until next time, Spark Triumph. We'll see you later.